Welcome to the Sim Racing Paddock. I'm William Marsh, and behind me you are going to see a screenshot from Dirt 4. That is because this week I was able to get my first test of the sim, and man, it was a lot of fun. Watch on for more information. On Monday, I was selected as one of the lucky few to be able to test out Dirt 4 in North America. I attended a press event that was put on by both Codemasters and Deep Silver Media, and there were also other titles being shown, such as Micro Machines and Agents of Mayhem, but I didn't really take any time to test that because I knew you guys were wanting me to focus on Dirt 4. Before I went, I asked a lot of the community if they had any particular questions they wanted me to answer, so I shot out a few threads in Reddit, Facebook, and so on, and the response was astounding. Now, I really wasn't able to get to everyone's questions, namely because a lot of the questions ended up being asked even after I left the event, but I tried to make sure a lot of the questions were addressed. At the event, there were 4 kiosks set up playing Dirt 4. 3 of them were on the PlayStation 4 with a DualShock 4 controller. The 4th one was set up on the PlayStation 4 using a Logitech G29 wheel. I decided to focus most of my testing on the wheel side of it. However, I did test a little bit on the gamepad because everyone does sometimes want to sit down, relax, play with the gamepad possibly. So I decided to give a little bit of time to that as well. First off, I wanted to cover the first major addition coming to Dirt 4, and that is the My Stage stage creator. This is actually pretty darn remarkable. I spent a lot of time with that, and I was shocked at the complexity, at the elevation changes, at the quality of these stages that were seemingly generated in seconds. You just press the square button on the menu, and boom, you have a new track in about 3 to 4 seconds. I asked Clive Moody, who is the executive producer for Dirt 4, about it, and he said that there are 10 septillion possible configurations. To put that in perspective, that is 1 followed by 25 zeros. Now I'm just going to wait a minute while these zeros pass under me. Okay, and that is even before factoring in weather and time of day. So you are really going to have a true amount of diversity. Another cool thing is if you find a particular course you like and you want to share with friends, you can save that, send to your friends, and compete on that. The My Stage is going to work with all the different locations available for Dirt 4 upon launch, and that is going to be Powys and Wales. They're going to be making their comeback from Dirt Rally. There is going to be Michigan, there is going to be, I believe, Sweden, and France is going to be coming. Some of the Dirt Rally locations that were popularized in the Dirt Rally title are not going to be making their addition. Monaco was a favorite I had in Dirt Rally, and it's not going to be coming. But one of the most stinging absences is going to be definitely Pikes Peak. I asked Clive about it, and he confirmed rumors that it has been officially licensed by another title, namely Gran Turismo Sport. So that is upsetting that we're not going to have the licensing, but he assured me that there are going to be a wide variety of tracks that are going to be similar with the My Course functionality. The next major question I had was about the physics. For Dirt Rally, it had a lot of high-end physics. It was very difficult, very challenging. It really did feel like a natural successor to Richard Burns Rally. With Dirt 4, a lot of people were hoping that Codemasters would not backtrack and go back to where it was in Dirt 3 and Dirt Showdown. I am proud to say that the physics and the difficulty in Dirt 4 is definitely there. They have also really improved in some of the elements that I sort of found were lacking in Dirt Rally, namely asphalt driving. Asphalt driving was a bit more of a challenge in Dirt Rally. In my opinion, I actually found it a little more lively, a little more communicative in Dirt 3. It feels like it's now a best of both worlds situation, where you do have that lively feel through the wheel. Even though it was a Logitech G29 I was testing, you really did have the good sense of weight, the good sense of weight transfer. You really had the accurate physics, and it was a blast to drive. The asphalt and gravel driving have seen major improvements over what I had seen before, and it really was a challenge though. It really was difficult to drive. One of the concerns I did have though was that they were bringing back popular functions from DiRT 3, namely the land rush and a lot of different types of racing like that. Now, I will say, land rush is back in name only. It really does feel like an off-road buggy race, similar to the championship off-road racing series. You have the buggies, you have the championship trucks. You also have a new addition, which is sort of like these off-road dirt go-karts. And those are actually surprisingly difficult to drive, and I had a lot of fun trying to tame those things. All in all, it really did feel more dynamic, even if it was confined to a track compared to what DiRT 3 had, which I honestly wasn't too fond of. Another thing I was happy not to see in DiRT 4 was any mention of the word Gymkhana, any mention of the word Monster Energy, anything that was like the Hoonigan bro or whatever. In the menus, it really did feel more of a dynamic rally type feel. It really did feel like a Colin McRae rally title in spirit, which I really liked. It really didn't feel like they were regressing back to the older DiRT's dude bro mentality. So that was always a positive. I really did enjoy the flow of the menus. It really felt fluid. A person asked me if it had mouse support, and I am going to wager on the side of no, even though I was just testing out the PlayStation 4 version. Just given my experience with Codemasters menus, you usually don't really see mouse support. So it's kind of upsetting, but I think we can just at least take what we got. And now that I briefly touched on what there is not in DiRT 4, I want to touch on a few new additions. One thing I noticed in Rallycross and different events is you are really able to jump the start. You're able to actually disqualify yourself from races. I haven't really tested too much Rallycross and DiRT Rally, and I forget if you were able to DQ in that, but you are able to basically jump the start in a Rallycross or a Land Rush event in DiRT 4. And if you jump the start in that kind of event, you do actually get a penalty, and also the start is retried. If you jump the start again, then you're disqualified from the entire race and you are basically knocked out of the competition. So that's an interesting approach. I believe it's in accordance with real racing rules, because if you look at it, DiRT 4 is actually becoming an officially licensed FIA World Rallycross title. So that is interesting to see Cody's go the extra mile to ensure that extra realism. In rally racing, you are also able to jump the start, which I learned because I didn't map the clutch, but I actually just got hit with a time penalty, which is similar to how it is in real life. Another definitely welcome addition is the Rally Racing School. It actually felt a lot like the school in Richard Burns Rally. You have a massive open space to drive on. You have this massive playground to hone your driving skill, but also they implemented lessons. They actually have this lesson-based system, which actually did a fairly good job explaining rally technique, rally moves, and things like that to you to be able to learn how to become a faster rally driver. One of the interesting things I noticed though is that there is no time limit. There is no time challenge thing. There's actually no bronze, silver, or gold medal like Gran Turismo where you are facing this against the time thing. In the lessons, you're actually just given all the time to your heart's content to hone your skill. If you feel like you didn't do that run well, you're able to just make it again and try again. I would have liked to see some sort of incentive for doing well in these lessons, but all things considered, it's cool to see an attempt to try to instruct drivers to become a better racer. Another popular question I got from the community is about online racing, and namely player versus player rally stages. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure if I saw anything in the way of multiplayer PvP stages. I saw time trials and leaderboards, which is pretty encouraging, at least for the competition standpoint. and I saw PvP in the Land Rush and the Rally Cross stages. However, I didn't really see anything in the PvP rally stages. And sadly, that question sort of slipped my mind in the interview with Clive Moody I had. So I'm sorry, guys, I can't really bring a concrete comment on if PvP rally stages are going to be in Dirt 4. However, PvP will also be on there with Rallycross and with Land Rush. And speaking of my interview, later this week I will be publishing my interview with Clive Moody, the executive producer for Dirt 4, and that will be an exciting video. I am just waiting on a bit of footage from Codemasters, and once I get that, I will be getting that interview to you as soon as possible. Lastly, I just want to briefly touch on my experiences with the controller. Now, I know what you're thinking, you don't really sim race with the controller or whatnot, but I just really wanted to give a little bit of time with the controller just in case anyone's kid wanted to race or anyone's kid sibling, where you might just want to also just relax and have a bit of fun with the controller without just the stresses of racing, putting us all together and whatnot. So I wanted to just at least give that a test. And I will say, I was pleasantly surprised. It was a really solid title with a controller. Dirt Rally was really cutthroat with the controller. It really felt harsh and unforgiving. And dare I say, the handling with a game pad in Dirt Rally is more on par with Dirt 3. That is considering the game physics mode. In Dirt 4, there are two physics modes. There is the game mode, which is like Dirt 3. It is very arcadey and it still feels good, but you can tell it's sort of gamey physics. Then there are the simulation physics, and that is more on par with what we've seen in Dirt Rally. Very dynamic driving, very difficult, very challenging, and I enjoyed that a lot. Also, factor in both of these modes, you're able to have assists, so you can make a good transition from game to simulation without sort of diving over into deep end. And I will say, under the game mode physics, the controller felt pretty solid. I was able to race well, especially in the Rallycross events. I was able to have a lot of fun with it and basically race without a care in the world. I also decided to try the controller with the simulation physics, and it was a lot more challenging. It wasn't undrivable, but it was pretty challenging and it was pretty difficult. I would much rather, with a gamepad, use the game physics. All in all, I will say I am really excited for Dirt 4. It is slated for release this June, and if it is any indication from what I tested, I will say you have a lot to be excited about. And remember to stay tuned for my interview with Clive Moody later this week, where we go a little more in depth about some of the features coming up. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons down below and help keep us on track. Also, if you want to stay involved in the sim racing community, join the Sim Racing Paddock forums with the link down below, and we will be announcing some exciting races and events in the near future, including a dirt event in iRacing. For the Sim Racing Paddock, I'm William Marsh, and you have a great rest of your day.